Welcome to Vision Pros, the show all about spatial computing, Vision OS, and getting work done on the Apple Vision Pro. I'm Tim Chen, host of the show. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Vision Pros. I'm joined today by Tyronne Leon-Fernandez, who runs the YouTube channel A Vision Experiment. That'll be linked to in the show notes, and I'd highly encourage you to check that out. Lots of great videos there, and definitely worth subscribing and staying up to date with what he is doing. And in this episode, we're just going to chat about kind of his background and a lot of discussion on immersive videos, 3D videos, and the Vision Pro in general, and kind of the competitors in the space, and kind of a free-ranging discussion. So I hope you enjoy this conversation coming up with Tyronne. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so over at visionpros.fm/Patreon or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, here's my discussion with Tyronne. Enjoy. Hi, Tyronne. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Absolutely.
So before we dive into everything, just share a bit on your background.
Yeah, sure. So as you can tell from my accent, I'm from the UK, from Middle England, shall we say, about an hour or so north of London. And my background is predominantly in video media, but more in the sort of last sort of decade or just short of a decade, it's been more immersive media. So hence my kind of love for spatial computing, XR, and all of that type of technology.
Nice. And as far as, your history with headsets, where did that begin proper? Is that the Vision Pro or things prior to that?
Yeah, so no, not Vision Pro. Vision Pro was kind of almost like my dream ultimate prior to its existence. My background predominantly in terms of coming into XR, if we call it that at the time, was working for a company called Reality and Virtual Reality. So I still work for that company. A lot of people know it by its acronym of RIVER. Spelled incorrectly, but its life started with the infancy of Samsung's kind of time in VR with Gear VR and Samsung phones in holders and all of that stuff, and 360 cameras, and utilizing it for like enterprise needs and being able to deliver something early on to just give people more of an immersive experience for, in this case, the start of it was for cruise ships and vacations and trying to sell that kind of thing, selling the dream. And I was kind of there to help them with that media, trying to capture it. That said, I didn't get to go on the cruises. I get to edit them, but things evolved.
Yeah. And then you run the YouTube channel A Vision Experiment. It's at Vision Experiment on YouTube. And one thing I'm very excited to see as far as your shorts, Tron Legacy is in 3D finally on Disney Plus. I've been looking at this when the 4K release came out. I don't think 3D was added. How recent is this?
So there's a bit of a funny sort of situation that's transpiring with this. So it released in 3D with no word, no fanfare whatsoever, with something that I'd kind of internally petitioned for as long as I'd owned Vision Pro. I was like,
I have a 1080p 3D Blu-ray rip on my Vision Pro that I will use in what app is that? There's a lot of apps that play back that stuff, but it's 1080p. This I would assume is a 4K print, which should look better, I'd imagine.
I hope so. I all I will say is that it became a streaming in 3D film on Disney Plus. I went to watch it instantaneously. It was incredible. And then within a couple of days, it kind of dropped off from being 3D. So I don't know whether it's back in 3D or not. Okay. I don't know whether maybe they released it too early before Tron Ares is about to kind of make its way some way. But it will be potluck for whether you've got it in 3D or not. Last time I tried, it wasn't. So I don't know what's going on there with Disney.
So it was available, then it wasn't. Okay.
Yep.
And Disney has the fun habit of they'll sell you a $30 flat 2D version, and then when it becomes available in Disney Plus, then they will sell you the 3D version for $20. It's the most infuriating thing. So Tron Ares is out, but I'm not going to buy it because it's in 2D right now. I'll just wait until it's on Disney Plus, and at that point, I'm probably not going to buy it.
I was disappointed it wasn't in 3D yet, and I'm hoping that there is going to be a version that will lure me into getting it. But until it
will
is,
be. It will for sure. Once it hits Disney Plus, it'll be in 3D. It's the most infuriating thing that Disney does. The
thing for me is I'm old enough to be able to say that I went to watch it in 3D in the theaters, so that's why I want to see it in brighter, amazing, colorful, and amazing audio in Vision Pro.
Yeah, Tron Legacy. It was it came out in the summer that I had nothing to do as a kid, probably high school era. So you do the theater. I was a bad, juvenile that would just go screen the screen. So I must have seen Tron Legacy in theaters, or probably 12 times or something crazy. Because it's such and many of those in 3D, it's such a visual audio just experience. Like, people make fun of them for being music videos, but it's an amazing experience. Tron Ares was the same way. It's like the visual audio matchup is just unparalleled to anything else you'll see. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's one of those tech fantasy experiences you wish that you could go and try once. I'd love to jump on the grid and jump on a light cycle, but you know, who's making the immersive experience of this? Come on, I've been waiting for someone to do this for a while.
Yeah, I was able to see Ares in IMAX, and that was something to behold. The vibrate. The one thing you don't get the Vision Pros, your seat doesn't vibrate. Like,
true.
That's the theater experience. So I'm excited to see it in 3D finally. So because I just got the IMAX, it's like an either or for me.
Amazing.
Yeah. The one theatrical experience I just had was Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair. 5 hours in the theaters. Amazing.
That is long.
Oh, yeah. There was an intermission. I've been waiting a decade for that. So it was fun to finally see this cut, both the movies as one. And it was good packed theater. So good time there.
I'm going to have to catch up on that because I did like Kill Bill. It was one of those films Tarantino just knows how to do it. Yeah.
And he's had this print for like a decade that he only played in his theater in Los Angeles that he owns, and finally the rest of the world can see it. So hopefully it gets a home release and will look great in Vision Pro, I'm sure. Yeah. So
awesome.
What's your YouTube channel? What's the kind of focus on the videos you create there?
Yeah, so realistically, I used to have a YouTube channel about a completely different genre for a number of years, and I kind of really persevered at it, and it really helped me to sort of understand how YouTube works in many ways. And I kind of thought, well, when I kind of sort of sunsetted that a couple of years ago and focused on the work that I've been doing day to day in XR, I thought when Vision Pros finally was going to make it over to the UK shores, that was where I was going to start again and use all of my learnings from my previous YouTube channel into bringing this channel, A Vision Experiment, into something extremely relevant with all the knowledge that I've got. Not only just obviously sort of tailoring it a little bit more around Vision Pro, but not being solely around Vision Pro, definitely letting people know that there are other things out there. There is competition, and competition is good. At the end of the day, it's going to help drive things forwards. It's going to help grow visibility. And I think for anyone that's in this space, they want to see mass adoption in some way or another. But yeah, that is the goal. The goal is to get people to want to buy into this and it become ubiquitous.
For sure. And capturing immersive video is something you've done a fair bit of, including some like prototype type experiences before Canon had their official lenses. And talk to me about kind of your background with that end of things.
Yeah, sure. Funnily enough, I actually found out today that me and the team from River won an award, which is pretty amazing for some of the stuff that we do. And a lot of the stuff that I've done with River in the past was predominantly sort of like client facing. It's very much enterprise, and building experiences around really sort of hard-hitting topics. So for me, a lot of it was around many things that, you know, maybe young people have to deal with day to day: crime, whether it be like grooming, really horrible, unfortunately, subjects that need to go around schools and education locations and show people what they can kind of think the potential is much worse than they may think it is. And it's been a really, really positive thing from something negative that they get to see. And most of the time they're scripted, theatrical kind of productions using immersive technology. And in this case, as you were talking about Canon, we had a really good collaborative relationship with Canon, utilizing their dual fisheye lens and their R5 series of cameras, bringing that technology, stereo 180 video, prior to Apple immersive video, of course, to as many people as possible. And usually it tended to be from sort of like fire or police or government, military. There was lots of different avenues for this kind of media that had great application. Now we obviously are going to be doing with Vision Pro, me and maybe others, as we move forward, we want to do more entertainment, more interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And I did recently a behind the scenes with Hugh Ho and Keely Turner as well, who are really well known for doing a lot of immersive video.
Nice. Yeah. The latest immersive video that dropped was that skiing one, which blew my mind. I thought that was so well done. The Red Bull one, where they're dropping these skiers off on airplanes, and it's like, how do they get the camera some of these places? They get, well,
absolutely.
Like one of the shots was like, so they had them at the bottom of the ski slope, but it was untouched snow to get there. So the guy with the camera, they must have like dropped him off on a helicopter. It was like just in my head, just like piecing through how they got some of these shots were just like mind-boggling to me. Yeah,
the logistics of some of these shoots that Apple have put together with some of their studio partners, Atlantic Studios, and obviously Sentity is another one that they're heavily involved with. And you know, as we saw, the access is also the key thing too. Getting access to, say, you know, the Nimitz aircraft carrier in flight ready, just unbelievable access that we as Vision Pro owners get to see this, and never will get to probably see it in real life. That's the magic of this kind of stuff. And you know, where I talked about the hard hitting stuff and where that kind of obviously has pros and has a real positive impact. Like I said before, like the entertainment value of this stuff is just incredible. And seeing people do what, you know, you can't do is mind blowing, you know. So being able to sort of sit as a fly on the wall, watching these guys doing flips and skiing and, you know, on pistes that look dangerous as hell. Like, I'm
like
sorry,
off
but
rocks and like
no way.
They're just improvising this, like causing avalanches that they're like skiing in front of. It's like
calling them pillows, you know. A bit of a pillow just fell off, and now we've got an exposed rock face. It's fine. Don't fall and hit your head. The comedy value in there is just because those guys are so skilled. They know what they're looking at. I'm looking at it in horror, going, I'm probably so novice at skiing, and I can, but I'm not that good. I would definitely not even get to the bottom. It'd be game over for me.
Yeah, I first skied a couple years ago when I moved here up in New Hampshire, and I went once on Canon, which is, you know, everything's a black diamond there, and their black diamonds are like double, triple, and I could not do that today. My nerves would not get to me. It's just this steep decline or whatever is just immense. And looking at what they were doing in the cross country skiing thing, they were in that immersive video. It's like, yeah, nope, that is way too steep, and you can't make mistakes.
Absolutely. I think one of the highlighting points for what I do when I look at these immersive videos that are released on the channel, and this is kind of probably a good thing for anyone that's quite technical with immersive video, is that I try to analyze it in a way that's, it's not criticism. It's more about kind of my own personal views about immersive video. Everyone has their own views about traditional form media and how you can get a shot and what you shouldn't do and don't break certain rules. With this kind of media, there are some rules, and the rules are there for viewer comfort. That's the important part of it, is that if you make a viewer uncomfortable, they're just not going to watch more of this media. So you've got to be very thoughtful about how you do it. And it's something that I've seen in some of the Apple events that they've done for developers and immersive video makers over the last couple of months. They've put on some of these events, and unfortunately, I've not been able to be there in person, but I've been on the sort of the webinar kind of things, and hearing them say some of the things that I have known to be the way that you should do things for years, and I've learned from my own mistakes. Yes. And so on the channel, I'll watch these videos and I'll express some of the good, some of the okay, and some of the maybe not so okay in my eyes. Always saying it's my opinion, but I'll give a good reason for it, and that's the reason why I think it's quite valuable to people who like or want to get into immersive filmmaking.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have very strong sea legs from VR gaming and PlayStation. I started. I had to wear the wristband that sends electrical shocks through your system to do the really intense games. I'm not sure if you've seen these things. But that actually worked well for me, and that over the years you slowly do less and less of it, and your body acclimates. But shooting video, I'd imagine some of these people shooting video, they're so acclimated that they're unaware that this might be uncomfortable.
Yeah, true. And I think that there's been, there's a lot of us who we come into contact with because of our time using headsets and being in that enthusiast community, where you just get used to it, and you try to tell people who are completely green to this and don't know that you can acclimatize, you can get used to it, but you don't want to give someone that, like, the horrible shaky camera, really fast motion the first time they ever try it, like roller coasters in VR. You just don't want it. Right. It's going to give a bad first impression. And I think actually that's one of the biggest hurdles that I think Apple have had to get over, is the fact that VR, if we call it VR, had a bit of a bad rep for some of that stuff early days. Did, yeah. Making people move when you're sat still is a bit of a no-no if you don't know what you're really kind of doing. And obviously Apple have pushed the boundaries with frame rates to hopefully help make it easier. But you need some sea legs if you're going to see a lot of movement.
Yeah, for sure. I really wish there were... so all the racing wheels are like USB based. I don't know of a Bluetooth based racing wheel. It'd be nice if there was, so you could do some racing in the Vision Pro through that. Absolutely.
Like, I'd love that. Like I've got a Logitech steering wheel as well, and I'm on racing ends. And my son, he's into go-karting. So I got him into go-karting early. He's just turned 9, so he loves jumping on, as he calls it, the sim. He thinks he's in Formula 1 or something. I'm jumping on the sim, Dad. And I'm like, cool, jump on the sim, and you can then go and make a cool few $1 million if you want to go and do some real racing. But honestly, I would love the day where we've got some really wide field of view headsets with really seamless connection and super low latency, and I can feel like I'm in an F1 car,
the field of view is the other issue. It's like PSVR 2 has a noticeably better field of view. It's like, oh, this is actually better for this kind of application. And I really hope we get USB inputs to the Vision Pro and someday. That's not through a developer strap. That's like, let me just plug to the battery and have USB ports there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the quality of the panels, and this is where, when we kind of rewind a little bit earlier on to kind of like trying to kind of get the message out to people who either own a Vision Pro or desire a Vision Pro, or at the very least desire wanting to buy a headset and not sure what they want to get, understanding that Apple came into this industry off the back of maybe a little bit of a rough time where, you just had Oculus, now Meta, holding the fort with budget level headsets.
Yeah, it was gaming, consumer level gaming devices, basically.
You had like a bunch of like Microsoft mixed reality headsets, and you have Vive, etc. And a lot of these were tethered. So you kind of look for something that sort of raises the bar. And you have micro OLEDs raising the bar. You've got refresh rates raising that bar. And now everyone's kind of coming up to that point or trying to exceed it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the reason we needed an Apple to kind of come in. And whether they hit the ground running, they probably don't believe that they have. And I think most people feel like, it's got some time to mature. But I think the reality is that they have now sort of set a bar for everybody else who's, they're going to try and copy bits and pieces and do it their own way.
For sure. Have you had any experience with the Galaxy XR devices yet?
So I've got a video actually coming out tomorrow that's, I usually kind of put it out every so often throughout the months. It depends on what's available. And it's called the AVE News. And within that, I say, unfortunately, it's not reached UK shores yet. But still wanting to give everybody else who watches the channel, and the majority of my audience actually is in the US, and obviously it's accessible in the US. The kind of feedback of the updates that they brought to the party yesterday, I may have slightly baited with the title of "Shots Fired by Android XR," but it's definitely YouTube, in a fun. It's in a fun way. The thumbnail is probably one of my favorite ones I've done for a long time. So, but yeah, I think that it's an interesting take where they've tried to kind of go down a route that I thought initially, when it was like under Project Muhan's kind of name, that it was going to be maybe a lesser device. It wasn't quite going to have the resolution of Vision Pro. And actually they proved me wrong when they finally launched it. And that's why I want to see how good their panels are and their tracking things are. And when I get one in hand, I'll be absolutely doing a comparison with it. But I've watched so many others that have been doing it, and it's been really interesting to understand their experiences with it.
From my understanding, it's the next generation of displays, but I'm just unsure if they benefit from that next generation much if the chip powering it is less so than, the M2 or M5, where we discovered the M5 is showing more of the display because the M2 couldn't do it all. So I'm wondering if the Galaxy XR is probably not powerful enough to power up everything the display is capable of. That's what I'm so curious about. And I'd love to
me too.
Get my eyes
I think the fact that having a dual chip system in Vision Pro was one of the biggest, I would say, interesting features upon its announcement in 23. Like you're hearing like a dedicated chipset for sensors and cameras that's not been done on a standalone device. You have like people tell me off when I say a desktop level chip, but I look at it as like it's in our majority of people are not necessarily on the move utilizing tower PCs or taking their Mac studios with them, but it's in Mac Minis, it's in our MacBook Pros, and it's in Vision Pro, and an M5 in Vision Pro is a pretty powerful thing. And I think that maybe even if Apple had their way, they would have preferred an M5 in it from the start, from that standpoint. But yeah, the Qualcomm chips are great, but they are very much a tailored mobile chip, basically a phone chip, So, I think we will see more devices though, and I'm almost certain I've got one brand in mind that has thought we need a dual chip. So maybe we will see competitors doing that soon as well.
Yeah, that'd be interesting for sure. Now, your main background is with the immersive filmmaking and whatnot. Since getting Vision Pro, has spatial computing been more of a thing for you?
Absolutely. I think I always tried to do my video editing, and I tried to do other types of productivity within, at the time, like my Quest devices that I owned prior to Vision Pro, and it just wasn't quite good enough. It wasn't the thing I wanted to do it, and I probably forced it because I was such an advocate of it and wanting to see like bleeding edge tech kind of people looking at it going, oh wow, as if you use that as your like virtual monitor or whatever it may be. And it just it's just easier to take it off.
Yeah, the text clarity. Like I have the PSVR 2, and so great headset for gaming. But if you're trying, one thing to give you a headache in that is in Resident Evil Village or whatever, just trying to read the bloody text in that game. Just it's blurry. Like it's great for gaming, but once you need the detail of text, you need Vision Pro kind of display quality.
Absolutely. And then also understanding the evolution of pass-through as well, because that's a really interesting thing to understand when it comes to productivity. And obviously Apple pointed very clearly at the start they wanted this to be a productivity device as well as a very, very capable device for other things. If the pass-through was, let's just say, comparable to, at the time I was using Quest Pro.
Okay.
There's another reason why you're probably going to get migraines. It frightens me how huge brands like, and I don't mean to single out Meta because they've done a lot for spatial computing, but how it was superseded so quickly with Quest 3. And the pass-through was, even though it's not, in my eyes, I don't think it's as good as Vision Pro. The pass-through just didn't allow Quest Pro to do what it needed to do. It didn't have depth sensors. It did have a lot of things that meant that I just, I didn't want to really wear it for productivity, because if I had to wear it with a screen that was like virtual in front of me, but the pass-through all around it was really grainy and it was like a color overlay of black and white pass-through. It just wasn't good enough. It's night and day using Mac Virtual Display. I probably would say it's the most used feature that I have on Vision Pro, and I use it almost daily.
Yeah. Are you on the M5 or are you on the M2 still?
Still rocking the M2 at the moment. I kind of feel like there's still a lot of life left in M2. I think a lot of people agree. If you're awash with cash, then there's no reason why you shouldn't just go and upgrade if you want to, and you may want to be kind and gift someone an M2 if you bought that as well. Right. It's it's only a small gift, it may be that actually, the people that I speak to, and I'm quite active, fairly active on InSpace, the app InSpace, which is a social app. Speaking to guys there that have upgraded, and they've given their M2s to like a family member, and not like given, but here's a really nice loaner for a period of time, and I can show you how good this device is and what the future looks like for this technology.
You can watch the shared movies together now.
Absolutely. Like, don't get me wrong, like there are people who are parents and they've given their M2 to their their student at college, like their son or daughter, and they can have like FaceTime persona, and that's something that is, another level to just doing a FaceTime. If you've ever experienced that, there's so many people that I meet who own Vision Pros that have never done it as well. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've done it a couple times. It's not a frequent thing. It's something else. It's really feels like you're just sitting in the room with them. It's great.
Especially since they updated the personas.
Yeah, I've not tried it beta. In the most recent personas. I should really give that a shot. 'Cause it's come a long way, the personas.
Big time.
Yeah, as far as video editing, are you Final Cut guy, or what do you use?
I am a little bit agnostic in some ways. Like I my life sort of began with actually just like messing around on an iPad and playing around with whatever I could find as a decent editor that was like maybe a little bit more comprehensive, a little bit more comprehensive than iMovie. But this was like early days of like me tinkering around. But like these days, DaVinci, Final Cut Pro, and Premiere Pro. I use them all for different reasons. I'm only recently learning DaVinci because of Apple Immersive Video, and it's been a really interesting journey with that, because it's there's some familiar elements to it, and there are some kind of like new, exciting things to learn. So, if you're a dedicated Final Cut Pro editor or a dedicated Premiere Pro editor, I can safely say that DaVinci is really good. It's a very powerful software, and I'm not on commission, and I don't have an affiliation with them at all.
Yeah. I find it fascinating that Final Cut Pro doesn't support the immersive format for editing. I guess it makes sense because Blackmagic makes the camera, right?
Yes.
So that connection makes sense, but it's interesting they didn't figure out how to also integrate with Final Cut. Have you shot much with the new Blackmagic camera?
So yeah, as kind of mentioned earlier on, I was very fortunate enough. I've had a good relationship with Hugo for a number of years. We obviously have crossed paths in many ways because of the work that we do. He's obviously a very amazing resource if you are in that world of immersive filmmaking, and he delivers so much to people for nothing, in some ways. He's just such a great kind of like educator from that standpoint. And he came over to the UK in August, and me and one of my friends, Alex, we got together to help him find some great locations, some like medieval shooting and some really period related stuff. And they brought together the Blackmagic camera all the way from the US, like in a backpack. So it's scary. Like this thing's like $30,000, and he's got it in a big backpack on his back. I'm just like,
put some t-shirts around it. It'll be fine.
Honestly, like the one thing that I sort of got to really experience is handling it with care, like it was a baby. That was the really sort of fun experience where like it's like, here you go, and he just like handed it over to me, and I'm like going, this is probably this is worth more than my car, and but I got to grips with it pretty well. I didn't necessarily do tons and tons of the pressing record, but I definitely sort of like observed a lot and did a lot of behind the scenes, shot a lot of spatial video as well behind the scenes for some of the work that we did. And then some of the stuff that was captured
for the spatial capture,
just iPhone at the moment. Gotcha. Just cool. Predominantly iPhone, just because it's so convenient. I think that's the main reason.
Totally.
But yeah, just kind of that like final little piece of the puzzle was kind of shooting some stuff that I wanted to get captured for myself, and I was very appreciative of you allowing me to get some stuff captured to give me some assets to work with so that I could then take it into DaVinci and start to tinker around with it and understand how all that works.
What's that experience like? Is it you're editing and then you preview it after you do the edit, or?
It is very different to my normal workflow, and actually in some ways it is actually very streamlined. I actually do think Apple have done a great job with DaVinci on kind of how that sort of workflow is, and obviously giving you really powerful tools to be able to kind of grade and to be able to denoise, and there's so many things that you can do with it, and actually the one thing that you can do is you can preview it in DaVinci before you're rendering, before you're sort of pushing it out. That's so
nice. Is DaVinci aware that you're like connected to a Vision Pro through Virtual Display? Is that like the software is aware of that fact, or?
The software has like a trigger, and you doing it actually not through Virtual Display, but through the utility application. So when you're in there, you can then connect directly to DaVinci, and it will you kind of go onto some of the nodes that are the way that you can kind of go through and do the non-destructive editing, and you can sort of basically switch it on, and all of a sudden it will just pop up in an immersive mode, and you're literally just there, so you get to sort of have a little bit of a look at it. If your machine's powerful enough, it will play. Mine's maybe a little bit behind the curve and I need to upgrade, but I still managed to edit it on my M1 Max. I just think that it's because I've got a lot of RAM.
Was it at like 10 frames a second, or
Oh, it was painful, but it was enough for me to be able to go, I need to tweak my grade. I need to make sure it's a little bit less noisy in some ways. It was a very, very useful tool that I think, previous workflows, I just didn't have that access. It's taken a long time to even have that ability to see what I was doing in a headset. I'd have to guess or use like anaglyph glasses, the old red and blue glasses.
Yeah. There's that mode, and there's an app I use to convert 2D videos to 3D videos, and there's an iPhone version that does the anaglyph thing to like preview it there. It's like, yeah, this is old school. This works well enough. Yeah.
You can still do that in Final Cut with spatial video editing. So that's the reason why I use Final Cut.
Yeah.
And I learned to sort of put my spatial videos together to keep the metadata. That was the really important thing, is that you need to be able to keep the metadata in it to make sure that devices that you're delivering it to know it's spatial video. And I kind of came up with a couple of roadblocks where I was trying to share some content and just putting on, Google Drive or Dropbox or whatever, and then they download it and they go, it doesn't play in spatial. It's lost its spatial metadata. So it has to sort of, for me, to play it safe, I just keep it on iCloud Drive, and it can be downloaded from there if I'm sharing it. And if I'm editing it, I edit it in Final Cut. And I can use the anaglyph classes in Final Cut as well to make sure my text is like decently distanced if I'm going to put some text on screen.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember the era of early 2000s. Put on your glasses for this TV show to be in 3D. I think Chuck had an episode like that, and some other shows did that.
And I think you just talked about sort of TV shows and movies, and that's kind of some of the inspiration behind kind of my design, like some of the nostalgia as well. We talk about 3D and its old ways and how people used to wear those types of glasses, and it takes me back to something like Back to the Future and seeing some of the henchmen wearing like the glasses as a fashion accessory in like the 50s. And it was just hilarious. Yeah. But like movie and TV shows is another reason why I got into this world of technology. Back to the Future, Knight Rider, the cool sci-fi, elements to these cars that you're like, oh man, I wish I had those things. Ghostbusters. It's almost like it's low tech but cool. And then sort of like pushing forward into sort of now, the idea of like really amazing IP and utilizing that to give people a bit of a look behind the curtain of these things in immersive video. I feel like I'm going to say it out there loud and clear, and I don't think many people will disagree. But if you've got a favorite TV show that you like, or a favorite movie that you like, you want to see what it was like to be on set or be on those amazing sets that got built. If they were practical. And I want to do that. That's kind of like on my bucket list of things to do. I need to talk some movie studios, I think, or Netflix.
Is Alien Earth filmed over there? I know alien movies are often.
I think Alien Earth was shot in Bangkok in Thailand.
Okay,
I think
that's right. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, just the at least the Earth stuff was kind of like I think there. Yeah.
Still incredible though. I think that there was one thing that would be incredible to have been able to sort of sit there and in an immersive video. They built out like the spacecraft that crashed in like an abandoned mall, which is just insane. And it's all practical. So these are the reasons why I think that immersive video's got a really big future. It's just that unfortunately you've got to get people to see that vision, and it's been very challenging in like the last decade. Apple have big pockets, so they've got a lot of money to spend to try and prove the point, I suppose.
Yeah, there's the friction of you need to buy this expensive thing, and then the friction of you got to put it on and all that, which I don't know. It feels like 10 years time, the cost will go down enough, hopefully, where it's. I think $1,000 is the price point they need to eventually hit with this stuff.
Yeah, and I think that we have to be very understanding of what the technology is and what it isn't. And I think a lot of people confuse these types of devices as wearables because it's put on your head. And I don't see it that way. I think that
it's like a desktop wearable.
Yeah, these are closer devices to being an iPad in your home that everyone can, access. Than it is smart glasses. I think that, you're not going to do a Casey Neistat and you're going to boost it board down to Fifth Avenue or to Times Square wearing your Vision Pro. No. I don't think that that's the thing to do. And I think that it's been very, it's been interesting how people who maybe aren't quite in that space, who are just looking from the outside in are like, you're crazy. You're going to wear that walking around the streets. I'm like, I won't be doing that. Like, even if I'm in it, like, I don't mind being on a plane, because if someone wants to mug me for it, then they aren't going to get very far. You know, I think the idea that Apple have now kind of opened it up to work on trains and cars, maybe a slightly less inclined to want to do it in those environments because of the fact that you could be blindfolded a bit. And
I've used it once in a parked car. It's a bizarre experience. Well, the weird thing, like the LEDs and stuff in the car all don't display properly with those cameras. It's kind of a funny situation with that. But
I think that you've just got to be smart about how you're going to use it. Like, I wouldn't take my MacBook Pro into a coffee shop in a, an area that felt a little bit unsafe, let's just say that. So realistically, if you're going to show off things that you know have got value in places that you probably shouldn't do, then you've got a chance that someone might want it off you. So I probably wouldn't necessarily be putting a Vision Pro on somewhere that I was a bit alien to. But if I'm comfortable, I've got no problem. I've been wearing headsets on planes since 2017. Like, I do not care. If anything, I've done more demos to cabin crew than probably anybody that probably exists. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like I have anyway. But it's always the same result. It's always, someone will just go, you may have one person going, what's that idiot doing? Because they don't know what you're doing and you've put this big thing on your head. Then you've got another person that just wants to know what you're watching or what you're doing. And then you always get a cabin crew going, oh, can I have a try? Can I try that out? And I'm always very like, sure, if you've got time, considering you're working, I'll happily come and show you, but I think that you've got to be, there's an education with these devices, and I think we'll see glasses and head-mounted displays running kind of a little bit more parallel. Not like, I don't think they're going to converge anytime soon. That's just my opinion. I think everyone talks about convergence.
It seems impossible.
I feel like
because one's total isolation, the other is the opposite of that.
I just feel like glasses are obviously going to be far easier to get out mainstream. You see it with the Meta Ray-Bans, Oakley Metas as well. And I think that the thing with those devices are that they're information deliverers. I think that they're going to
camera at a different perspective that is very appealing to a lot of people.
Absolutely. I think that the devices that will be like the Vision Airs of the future or something are just going to be the same kind of devices, just smaller, like more compact, but they're not going to be glasses.
Right.
They're a different product. That's what I would say. So
personal computers and personal entertainment kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, they just go with the rest of the wearables. I like the idea of the neural band that Meta brought with the display glasses. I like that idea of being able to have a way to interface with stuff and it not be like jewelry, like a ring or something. I think I don't wear rings, and it's not that I don't like rings. It's just
it'd be interesting if the Apple Watch could pair with the Vision Pro in some way and add extra input that way.
That's it. They could probably find a way to implement some of those, contacts into the strap or something as well. Totally. I think there's definitely an opportunity there to enhance the experience of Vision Pro in many ways.
Yeah. So what else have we covered that you'd like to before we start to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we've spoken a lot about kind of my background in immersive filmmaking. I think that it's a part of the roadmap that Apple have kind of done that gives two groups of people opportunity with this type of device. You've got developers who maybe are bored with doing things for iOS or iPad. They want to try something that's giving them a little bit more creativity. They may not necessarily be in it right now to profit from it, but they absolutely are excited about the prospect of being able to do something new and play around with other things, 3D models, maybe even Gaussian splatting down the line, and be able to create something maybe unique as well, a unique experience. And we see a lot of these games coming in, a lot of experiences coming in. I love D-Day, the Camera Soldier. It's like, because it's a narrative story, it tells that story. And I think that there's so many of those that can be brought to life with devices like Vision Pro. And I think then you've got obviously the other side of it, where you've got immersive video. So you've got two forms of media that are going to sort of run in parallel, that will allow people to have a lot of choice about what they can do with the device. And then obviously you can be, productive with it as well. I think the other element to it is understanding kind of like that. So this is something that I kind of try to preach on the channel quite a lot, is understanding that, when you have a first generation product, it's not mature, and everyone expects Apple to hit the ground running. And my gut feeling, and obviously I wish I had a lot of insider knowledge, and I definitely don't have the surname Gurman or anything like that, is that you understand that products don't just explode overnight. Even iPhone didn't have an app store when it first launched. It had a lot of flaws to it, and it's been refined continuously for decades, and so you get to a point now where you kind of go, well, okay, no one even sort of like bats an eyelid at that. And I think also one of the things that's really funny is the amount of people that say, what's the killer app on Vision Pro? And I'll go, what's your killer app on your iPhone? What one app is your killer app on your iPhone? And you likely won't say any one. You'll just say a cumulative number of apps that you really like.
Safari.
That mean that you love your phone. Yeah. And it'll be the same for anything else. So the idea of a killer app is a little bit sort of like, I don't know. It's a little bit narrow.
I hate the complaint. I hear this all the time on mainstream, whatever. There's nothing to do with the Vision Pro. It's like every single, I don't know, just from an entertainment perspective, it's like any movie in the world is great there, let alone the 3D and immersive stuff. Like, I guess not everyone enjoys watching content solo, but I think a large percentage of the world does. I feel that alone is worth the purchase for many people.
Look, if doing the solo thing wasn't popular, then personal audio equipment would never have taken off. The Walkman, etc., would never have been, because realistically, why? Surely we just want to listen to it with lots of people all the time. I think it's actually my peace and quiet. It's my sanctuary from time to time. And actually I get, when I said I'm in Mac Virtual Display a lot, I'm in it because it focuses me to get on with the job that I'm doing, as opposed to being distracted. And actually to the contrary of where people sort of say, oh, it's isolating, it's antisocial. I'll turn around and go, there's a time and a place where I actually don't want to be social. I need to get on with what I'm doing to make sure that I get my work done or get my videos edited. And actually, it gives me a lot of opportunity to think where I can improve that video as well without the noise. And make sure that what I'm saying either doesn't sound inaccurate or dumb, and go and revise it. It's definitely been a very good tool. So that's just kind of many things and many views that I've got on Vision Pro that I talk about a lot on the channel. And I'm always open for debate as well. I think that's the really important thing with this stuff, because a lot of people will ask me the same question over and over again. What are you going to do if Vision Pro just stops tomorrow? Like Apple say, we're not going to do it anymore. And I'm like, I don't think that they will. I think they're in it for the long haul. But even if they did, there's so many other options and so many other companies that are bringing their sort of products to market. I'm not going to be without choice of doing stuff. It's just I feel Apple always have a really interesting and different approach than most of the tech companies. Yeah,
and am I right in thinking that Meta doesn't have a 3D video store like iTunes and Apple is?
No, not for a long time did they have anything. And in all honesty, You'd have to go through different means to sideload.
Yeah, right.
Put your own stuff on, and that was the only way. And that's kind of how I was traveling. I would travel on flights back and forth to the US all the time with a bunch of stuff that I'd managed to find, and watch series on the flights. And no 3D store, no interactive applications like they just brought one out with Blumhouse. That's to give you this feeling of being a little bit more immersed in what is just normal films. They have to be 3D. It's not necessarily the way I would have done it, but I'm glad that they gave it a go. I have some thoughts on how I would like to do it, but I'm not a developer, so I need some developer help if anyone is interested in a plan. So, but yeah, from that standpoint, it was media lacking, and I think that was maybe bizarre, its failure.
It's a gaming console, but people should know this is a very desired thing as well. PlayStation VR was the same way. The original VR, I think, had more video stuff than PSVR 2 does. It's like, what's going on over there? Yeah.
I suppose they never do you know the thing that's hilarious is the Meta didn't have a travel mode. I had to kind of hack it a little bit. I used to turn the tracking off so that it wouldn't start moving around as the plane took off. That's crazy. So that was kind of my little hack for being able to watch media on flights, but it still would slowly turn a little bit as the plane would bank from time to time, and I'd have to just recenter it all the time. But I think that Apple were the first ones in the keynote for WWDC 23 where they were like, you can watch this on the plane and block out screaming children from crying on board the flight. And I was like, that's it sounds bad, but if there's ever an incentive to sort of you make yourself feel like you're not there, flights are those ones, because you just want them to go by quick. You don't want to feel like you're on flights and forever and ever and ever. And like I said, I'd been doing it before that. It was just that Apple made it far more accessible to get content. You got Disney Plus from the word go. You can download them offline. You can download them from Apple TV. You've got content there, and you don't have to do it in an awkward way of getting that media on the device. And so that's why it's great.
I wonder how long till we get 3D Apple TV Plus movies. It's weird that we haven't had a single just 3D movie.
Yeah. And I think that I was surprised that they didn't do a 3D conversion or some kind of 3D way for F1, the movie. I thought that may have lent really well, considering they did an Apple immersive hot lap.
Yeah,
I thought that would have been primed for some sort of 3D option. And considering
For All Mankind would make a great logical sense. For 3D. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's so many sci-fi, Foundation would be great in 3D. That would be awesome. Even though I know it's not necessarily fantasy and stuff, but I am loving Pluribus at the moment. So that's
great show.
But
imagine, them advertising, in Vision Pro, you can watch this in 3D. It's in the conversions. Some of them are very good, and they could do a good job with that. And I don't know. I'm not sure how expensive that is. Doesn't seem like too expensive to invest in that stuff.
I wonder whether, because Apple are already basically spending lots of money on Apple immersive projects, that those don't reap any box office rewards in the long run, do they really? So you look at it and think, how much did Submerge probably cost to make unbelievable amounts of money? Won't even kind of even think how much that probably cost to make, and to bring in the director who's a really high level Hollywood director, and the team and the build and all that stuff. It's got so much money behind it. They need the audience before maybe they start doing some of these things.
Yeah, it seems like the theatrical will be the easiest to sell because they can have higher ticket prices for those. But then Apple, I don't know. Some movies don't make sense in 3D in theaters, but others do. Yeah.
Even if they don't do 3D conversion or 3D shooting of Apple TV productions, at the very least, they have the means to be behind the scenes and do the kind of thing I said I'd like to do, which is shoot BTS of of Severance, or whatever it may be. How cool would it be to be able to feel like you got to stand on the set of these TV shows that got major budget? I don't care whether half the set's not built. I'm not bothered about that. I just want to see it. I just want to feel what it'd be like to have been on set for the day.
And that spatial gallery app is doing some of that with still photos. But that's just, it's very basic. It'd be nice to
get some stills, maybe some videos from time to time. But like, push it to the best experience you can get. They've talked recently, Apple, about wanting to push the levels of quality with Apple Immersive Video to 2020 vision levels. And from that standpoint, why wouldn't you want to feel genuinely like you were in a space, whatever that is, whether it's on some incredible soundstage where they've built something practical that's stunning and or something for Foundation, for example, or just on a really nice beach somewhere. I don't care. I'm happy to be transported anywhere and see some incredible action and stuff. I think that the hot lap from F1 was proof in that you can do it. It's just someone's just got to take the ball, take the reins and go and do it. It's just not happening yet.
Yeah. And then they could create environments for these shows as well. If they're creating the CGI to make For All Mankind and Foundation, they could clearly use those CGI assets for a environment that you could
absolutely
visit. Yeah.
Well, look at it with Alien Earth and Disney Plus. That was a really cool environment. I really like that. I did a video about it, sort of expressing how you can. Disney have done it in a way where they're kind of giving you that fantasy level of an immersive environment, and I love it. Whether you are a fan of Monsters Inc. or Avengers or whatever it may be, I love that they've done that with their IP, and I feel like there's so much more that can be done. I think a lot of people were really kind of frustrated about the trickle feed of Apple Immersive Videos, and I was never really kind of so bothered about that because obviously I'm making stuff and I'm doing that stuff all the time. I was more frustrated about the trickle of environments. I was like, come on, let's get more environments, please.
Yeah.
But learning how they're made is challenging, so maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, and they're getting more advanced with Jupiter and stuff. I love Jupiter's one of my go-tos now for watching movies there. 'Cause it's a nice dark environment.
Oh, it's epic.
It's great.
And seeing it kind of moving and fast forward and seeing kind of the storms and stuff and the red spot, I think it's such a cool environment. Like, I think that being in like the beta program, if you're sort of downloading betas, and I think most people who've bought Vision Pro just are too eager to not do that. If you have the patience to not do it and you're worried about it bricking your device or it having some glitches or anything like that, then fair enough. I do not recommend people download betas if they don't need to. But if you're too excited to do it, it always seems to be that the environments are the people that they're the things they're waiting for.
The last
and it's like Jupiter came so far down the line.
The GM
when it finally launched.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And I love the Disney Plus environments. I rarely use them because it pushes the screen back so far that the video is smaller. I wish there was like an option to like sit me closer to the screen, please, because I'll check it out, but more often than not, I'm just going to go to Jupiter, which is a better experience. And the other thing is, I often am watching stuff in bed. And you can't, with the Disney Plus environments, have the screen like above you like you can with Jupiter.
And I do wish that they would allow you to have access to those environments just on the system, so you could use it for any video that you want to play on it, which would be incredible. But I suppose Disney are going to gatekeep that.
Apple needs an API for that because it'd be nice to just work. You're working in your alien environment, which you can do if you're a Mac Virtual Display person with the developer feature enabled.
Yeah.
You've done that, right?
I've tried it. I've done it, and I've done it on there. There's the application that you can sit on the train and you can feel like you're on the train doing some work.
Yeah,
it's just so silly to do it, but you can if you really want to.
Yeah. Well,
no, I love it.
Yeah. Well, anything else, Tyronne, before we wrap it up?
Only to say that I really appreciate being on the podcast. It's been great to talk to you and great to kind of like bat across different stuff, and we're both passionate about this stuff, obviously. And I appreciate anyone who's listening to go over and subscribe. I massively appreciate all the people that go over and watch my videos. I never thought that anyone would really want to listen to me that much, but it seems like a lot of people do, and I meet some really great people that are very, very smart, very, in this world of tech and immersive. And I'm looking forward to meeting many more down the line and coming out to the States again as well. Hopefully one day to Cupertino and meeting some people there.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate your time tonight, or very late for you being in England. But yeah, appreciate you spending this hour here. And go check out A Vision Experiment over on YouTube.
Thanks again.
Well, that's my discussion with Tyronne. You can check out Tyronne's channel at A Vision Experiment. It will be linked to in the show notes. My thanks to Tyronne for his time recording. My thanks to you for your time and attention tuning in. As a reminder, you can support this podcast over at visionpros.fm/Patreon or by subscribing in Apple Podcasts. With that, I'll talk with Everett again real soon.